Hello and welcome. You're tuned into WION World is One. This is Race to Power, and tonight, power is changing hands. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani's influence, it is growing by the day, with candidates now backed by him sweeping Democratic primaries in the very city that prides itself on being the beating heart of global capitalism. Is New York turning left? That's the question. And while the world is focused on wars in West Asia and Eastern Europe, terror groups linked to Al-Qaeda, ISIS and Boko Haram are expanding their footprint across Africa's Sahel, edging closer and closer to major cities. A socialist wave in the Big Apple, a jihadist surge in the Sahel are these early signs of a world being reshaped by forces many did not even see coming. We try to get you these answers and much more. Let's get started. We begin with our focus on Zohran Mamdani's political clout. It is on the rise. The mayor of New York City has further cemented his hold over the Democratic voter base after candidates he endorsed secured a clean sweep in the Democratic primaries. The city of New York, also known as the Big Apple, it has long been a Democratic stronghold. But Mamdani has helped spark a socialist wave in the very city that is considered a global hub of capitalism. Mamdani endorsed 3 candidates, and all of them defeated established Democratic heavyweights in their respective districts. Israel's war in Gaza remained a key issue in all 3 campaigns. First up is former New York City Comptroller Brad Lander. He defeated Representative Dan Goldman. Lander has accused Israel of committing genocide, while Goldman, a 2-term incumbent, was backed by pro-Israel groups. Next is Claire Valdez, who defeated Antonio Reynoso in the 7th District. Valdez, a staunch critic of Israel, even accused Reynoso of being funded and backed by pro-Israel groups. The third Mamdani-backed candidate, Daria Liza Avila Chevalier, has taken part in pro-Palestinian protests at Columbia University. She even won her race for New York's 13th district, defeating 5-term incumbent Adriano Espaillat. Now, speaking at a campaign event, Zohran Mamdani vowed to revive the central ideas that, according to him, once defined the Democratic Party. He said it is now time to bring back notions such as freedom from want, freedom from fear, and freedom of worship.
You remember the words of freedom from want, freedom from fear, freedom of worship. You remember so much of this that used to be at the central, really part of what it was to be a Democrat. It's time to bring some of those notions back so that working people can look at this party, see themselves, see their struggles, see their focuses. All of the candidates here have been doing that work, and I'm so excited to be supporting them.
Mamdani became mayor of New York City this January, remembered riding a wave of support for his democratic socialist policies. He has now earned a reputation as a kingmaker as well within the Democratic Party. His rise within the Democratic camp is being viewed as a key flashpoint ahead of November's midterm elections. For more on this, our correspondent Susan Terani is joining us live on the broadcast from New York. Susan, welcome to the broadcast. How did a democratic socialist become a kingmaker in the very city that calls itself the global hub of capitalism?
Yeah, it does call itself the global hub of capitalism because of Wall Street, but New Yorkers have been leaning progressively left for some time now. Not only is New York a blue state, but New York City has really been leaning in that direction. And we just saw the culmination of that, not only with Zohran Mamdani as mayor, but then these candidates also really signaling that Mamdani's influence in the Democrat Party goes far beyond New York and could likely go all the way on Capitol Hill. This was a huge disappointment for moderate Democrats who had tried to look for some kind of messaging, but it really shows that Americans right now are concerned about cost of living. They want a candidate that will support the working class. These are individuals who have done everything right, have leaned Democrat for most of their lives, but see that their traditional lawmakers aren't really protecting them or standing up for them. And so they continue to move so much to the left. Now, this is New York, like I said, a historically blue state. But come November, it's going to be interesting to see whether or not even those moderate Democrats will inherit this messaging of these progressive and socialist Democrats in order to try to gain more votes and flip the House and possibly the Senate. But one thing is for clear, the old Democratic Party is in a lot of trouble right now, as was the old Republican Party when Donald Trump came into the foray. Remember that. So very similar in a lot of ways, very different in terms of policy. But it is a wake-up call, notably for Democrats and, of course, for Republicans as well.
Susan, considering Zoran Mamdani's reach, do you think his ability to appeal the crowd will eventually alter the power structure within the Democratic Party as well?
We'll have to wait and see. Like I mentioned, his grip on the Democratic Party now we know goes far beyond the mayoral race here in New York City. It wasn't a one-off. He is going to have supporters in Congress now should these individuals move and win in November. But like I said, it'll be very interesting to see whether or not other Democrats, more moderate Democrats and traditional Democrats, are going to inherit the same messaging as Mamdani and these candidates had, notably on foreign policy. A lot of these individuals were very critical, for example, of Israel. That is so new and nuanced here in New York, considering the fact that New York is one of the cities in America that has the most concentration and highest population of Jewish individuals in all of the country. So, in terms of foreign policy, in terms of how they want to address the working class people, if they inherit this messaging, then I think we're going to see this brand of progressive democratic socialism really have a foothold, not only in different cities, but on the national front as well. And this is going to be a nightmare for the Republicans, I can say that.
Indeed, Susan, it's very interesting to see how the Israeli occupation in Gaza is now affecting New York as well and shaping the dynamics of the leadership there. Thank you for coming and sharing your insights. Moving on, US President Donald Trump, he made his return to the campaign trail after a 2-week break, choosing politically divided Pennsylvania as his first stop. The visit, it focused on familiar themes: economic frustration, manufacturing revival, and the struggles of voters dealing with rising inflation. But the rally, it was not just about policy. It quickly turned into a high-energy political show filled with dramatic moments, humor, and controversial remarks that sparked debate online and beyond the venue. One of the most talked about moments came when Trump referenced transgender athletes in sports. In a staged reenactment during his speech, he mocked transgender men competing in women's sports.
And the mother's screaming, "Darling, I love you, darling." And the father's looking, saying she has no chance. And she's like this, "You see," drops him. And she's like devastated for the rest of her life. And then a guy comes along who transitioned. That's the term. But he transitioned. He was a poor, very poor, bottom of the line, male weightlifter. But now he's a female weightlifter. And he looked at the amount. I think it was like 210 pounds or something like that. But that's a lot for a woman.
However, this is not the first time Trump has ridiculed transgender athletes. Earlier, during a speech in New York, the US president also made controversial remarks that included a staged reenactment. After that, Trump acknowledged that his wife had told him to avoid on-stage dancing. He ignored that warning and carried on anyway.
You know, I have a very elegant wife, and she says, "Darling, please, please, don't dance. It's not presidential." I said, "But the people love it when I dance at the..." And she said, "Please, please, the men and women's sports, please don't do the weightlifting thing."
One of the most talked about moments of the night had nothing to do with policy or even culture war debates. During his speech, Trump asked the crowd who had not voted for him, For a brief second, a worker standing just behind him raised his hand.
Hey, who here voted for Trump? Yeah. Who didn't? This is dangerous, so don't raise your hand. Think you're going to be cute, because you might be in big problem. Then they'll blame me for causing problems.
Shifting our focus to an ally of United States now, former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett has hit out at Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, accusing him of tying military action in Gaza and Iran to broader political endgames. Speaking to an Israeli media outlet, Bennett criticized Netanyahu's messaging amid the hostilities in West Asia. Bennett accused Netanyahu of focusing entirely on killing the enemy, which severely dented Israel's diplomatic capital. Bennett then went on to accuse Netanyahu of tying Israeli military actions to political endgames, even hinting at the upcoming polls in Israel. Now, separately, speaking at an event in Jerusalem, Bennett revealed that during his tenure as Prime Minister, Israel had smuggled thousands of Starlink interceptors inside Iran. The smuggled Starlinks were intended to enable Iranian protesters to coordinate and topple the Iranian government in case internet was shut off. However, Bennett accused Netanyahu of stopping the program, which ultimately failed to work in Israel's favor when protests broke out in Iran last year.
What happens every time there's a protest? They turn off the internet, and then there's no communications. So what I had started was a process of acquiring and smuggling into Iran tens of thousands of Starlink receptors that would allow continuity of the internet and social networks when they turn it off, and would allow the protests to coordinate and ultimately topple. Unfortunately, the current incompetent Israeli government stopped doing that, like they stopped pretty much every good program that we started.
Starlink, owned by Elon Musk's SpaceX, provides satellite internet connections. It is not licensed to operate in Iran, but Musk has previously said the service is still active there. Iran has previously accused Israel and US of smuggling in the devices to undermine its security. Ahead of elections in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, Imran Khan's Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf has won a key legal battle. A high court has set aside the Election Commission's decision to cancel PTI's registration and directed the commission to restore the party immediately. The court has also cleared PTI candidates to contest elections with cricket bat symbol. According to a report by ARI News, the petition to the court in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir's High Court came from PTI President and former Prime Minister Sardar Abdul Qayyum Niazi. He had challenged the Pakistan Election Commission's move that stripped PTI of its status as a registered party in the region. The report even said that the bench headed by Chief Justice Sadakat Hussain Raza did not buy the Election Commission's reasoning, saying that cancellation was not legal and violated basic political rights. The bench told the Election Commission to restore PTI's registration without delay and allow candidates to use the bat symbol in the upcoming Legislative Assembly elections. Now, for the past few weeks, PTI candidates in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir were in a limbo. Without registration, they could not file papers under the party name, and the bat symbol was also removed. The development had forced many to think about contesting as independents, which actually changes everything in local elections. The Election Commission has now been asked to issue a notification and update its list of registered political parties accordingly, and a cricket bat is Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf's most recognized election symbol, as it stems from the cricketing legacy of its founder, Imran Khan. Shifting our focus to Africa now, as the world view is fixated on the conflicts in West Asia and Eastern Europe, the problem of terrorism is re-emerging in the Sahel region. Political instability, frequent coups, and constant infighting has turned the region into a perfect breeding ground for jihadist groups. Extremist groups are steadily expanding beyond rural areas where they first sprang their roots. Groups even affiliated to Al-Qaeda, the Islamic State, Boko Haram, all of them, and Mali's Jamaat al-Islam wal-Muslimin. They are all becoming increasingly active in urban cities and capitals of other neighboring nations. According to Conflict Monitor ACIED, terrorism-affected areas in the Sahel has doubled since 2020. Large-scale attacks have even hit the capitals of Niger and Mali this year, further stepping up the pressure on their military leaders. To talk about Sahel region, it is a semi-arid belt of land that stretches from the Atlantic Ocean along the southern rim of the Sahara Desert to the Red Sea. The area is also known as Africa's coup belt, where a military takeover of governments is a common phenomenon. Now, Islamic State's top leadership has grounded its operations in Africa. 86% of group's global operations are concentrated in the continent. Remember, this is more than double of what it was in 2024. In Lake Chad region, Boko Haram has emerged as a powerful force after nearly 2 decades, despite the rise of rival factions. Nigeria's Borno state remains the epicenter of its activities. According to United Nations estimates, the number of jihadist fighters across West Africa stands at around 20,000. Countries in West Africa are struggling to counter this crisis. Divisions, lack of resources, and Burkina Faso and Niger left regional bloc ECOWAS last year, accusing it of failing to support them, and they eventually formed their own confederation called the Alliance of Sahel States. Now, Western military involvement has also ended in some areas. All factors are collectively contributing to the rise of terrorism in the African continent. For more on this, WION's Louisa Olani has sent us this report from Lagos, Nigeria. Take a look.
Africa has become the epicenter of global jihadism as IS and Al-Qaeda-linked groups, including GNIM and Boko Haram, seize territories in the Sahel and account for 86% of operations, according to report. Exploiting weak governance, these factions are advancing from the Sahel towards coastal West African nations, transforming ungoverned regions into significant international security threats and creating new rules for residents who now live in fear. From Lagos, Nigeria, Louisa Olani, WION, World is One.
We move on to Italy now. Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni is reportedly considering early elections. According to reports, Meloni could call elections as early as April next year, which is 4 months ahead of schedule. Reports citing government officials claim that Giorgia Meloni is worried about her approval ratings. Additionally, she wants the next government to have enough time to prepare its budget proposal. Giorgia Meloni has reportedly discussed the issue with the country's president, Sergio Mattarella. According to Italy's constitution, the president is who holds the power to call fresh elections. Despite the speculation, there has been no official comment on the matter. Now, Giorgia Meloni, she is facing pressure after a setback in a national referendum on justice reforms, and since then, 3 cabinet members have also resigned. Additionally, a public spat with Donald Trump has strained her relationship with Washington. Both leaders have exchanged a series of statements following a photo op during the recently held G7 summit. Trump's remarks on Meloni's approval ratings drew a sharp response from the Italian Prime Minister. Remember, Meloni had said the US president should be more concerned about his own ratings. And speaking of approval ratings, now let's take a look at what voting intention polls suggest about Meloni's political party. According to Politico's poll of polls, Meloni's party, Brothers of Italy, remains in first place. 28% of respondents support Melanie's party. The Democratic Party ranks second with 22% support. Support for the Brothers of Italy party remains close to the levels seen back in 2022. However, the bigger concern now for Melanie appears to be her personal approval ratings. Those ratings have declined from the levels that she enjoyed when she was first elected Prime Minister. If Melanie decides to call early elections, the move could either strengthen her mandate or expose growing voter dissatisfaction. US Second Lady Usha Vance has broken her silence on why she has chosen to remain a Hindu. Earlier, her husband, US Vice President J.D. Vance, had expressed hope that she may one day convert to Christianity. Sharing insights on their interfaith marriage, in a recent interview, Usha Vance said she grew up in a stable Hindu household and never felt the same need to seek a different faith that shaped her husband's spiritual journey. Revealing why the church worked for him, she said J.D. Vance found stability through faith and organized religion. Usha's comments come after J.D. Vance previously said he hoped his wife might one day be moved by the Christian faith in the same way that he was. However, Usha Vance said many people misunderstood those remarks. She dismissed suggestions that her husband is actively trying to convert her. Joining his wife on the interview to CBS Sunday Morning, J.D. Vance opened up about his spiritual journey, saying he grew up in a non-traditional household and that he felt like a revolving door of people coming into his life with frequent changes in caregivers, including his parents and grandparents. He described his youth as marked by movement and chaos, adding that it led him to search for something more rooted and stable in his adult life. Now, US Vice President faced massive backlash after he said he believed the Christian gospel and hoped his wife would eventually come to see it the same way. He had made these remarks while responding to an audience question at Turning Point USA rally in Mississippi last year. Now, last week at the US-Iran peace talks in Switzerland, J.D. Vance joked that over the past 3 months, there have been only 2 important people in his life, his wife Usha, who is an Indian, and the other, Pakistan Army Chief Asim Munir.
I have joked that I have 2 very, very important people in my life, an Indian and a Pakistani. The Indian is my wife, and the Pakistani is Field Marshal Munir. And I've probably talked to Field Marshal Munir more than I've talked to anybody else over the last 3 months.
With that, it's a wrap of Race to Power in this edition. But leaving you with a reminder, especially to our viewers in India, you can watch all 2026 FIFA World Cup matches on Z5. Make sure you tune in and catch all the action live. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to WION World is One.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders, psychopaths who defy explanation, international war crimes, and millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Crime is your front row seat to darkness. From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
WION Health Resort is unique, the only one of its kind. Experience the 4 paths of natural wellness: yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy. Each uniquely customized program improves the whole person to make every person whole. Come to WION Health Resort. Make your reservation at wion.com.
In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. So you get a much wider and deeper understanding of stories from around the world, a 360-degree analysis. An award-winning documentary series, week after week, creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION. World is One. Get the latest updates. Breaking news. Credible, clear, continuous. Experts across aisles. Diverse voices, one platform. WION World is One.
WION, India's global voice. The channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is One.
In this rapidly changing world, is your health keeping pace? Best practices and breakthroughs busting the hype with real insights. The timeless power of yoga and ancient healing. Good food, good mood. Small steps, big impact. Your health matters. Only on WION World is One. Because nothing matters more.
The Israeli drone is above our heads all the time in Lebanon. Around 169 buildings have been totally reduced to rubble. Every time there's a warning, they just come to this public area where there are around 200 tents and they reside for a while and then they go back to their home. Some of the Lebanese people enjoying their time, celebrating, singing, dancing, and some others forcibly displaced. From the southern suburb of Beirut, I'm Radi Francis for WION World is One.